Welcome everyone to Questionable Lock Recap number 4. I'm Sebastian Natashi.
I'm Carson Marsh.
And today we are missing our normal host, our usual host, Taylor Stahl. Want to wish a happy birthday to her. She's out celebrating safely, of course. So, we're giving her the day off and taking over on this recap. So let's get right into it, Carson. We talked about Lakers versus Heat Game 5. Now, obviously, Lakers winning the championship last night in Game 6, but we talked about Game 5. The line for that game, Heat plus 7.5. You got that one right, so I'll let you take this one.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of hard talking about the Heat right now, especially with the performance last night. But all I can say is the silver lining to losing to the Lakers is that, it's for Kobe. And we live right down the street from Staples Center, so obviously there was some partying going on last night. Not for me, of course, but in that Game 5, it was Game 5. Got a little celebration in just because hit on that plus 7. Obviously, Jimmy Butler triple-double, left it all out on the court. There was a photo of him kind of leaning against the basketball station or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
And just kind of sums up what the Heat have kind of done and what he brings to the locker room. Just like hard, gritty team, great player, and I'm looking forward to the revenge tour next year. But
hey, that's a scary team right there. We wait one more year. I think that's one of the spots Giannis might go also.
I would love it.
That could be very interesting. But congratulations to the Lakers, of course. LA back on top. Let's go from there to another LA team. We talked about Dodgers Padres in our last recap show. Game 1 starting, I think, in a little bit today, actually, in that next series. Dodgers taking care of the Padres. We bet, I believe, on the over, and the over-under was 9.5, and the score of that game ended up being 12-3 in favor of the Dodgers. So the over hit very well in that one. Dodgers showing all the offensive power they have. And what do you see from that team? Are you seeing anything different from the last couple of years where, the bats work for a little while and then it shuts off and they can't do anything as it gets towards the end of the playoffs?
I mean, I like the direction they're headed in. I mean, obviously with Mookie, you got a guy who's going to be able to always have a hot hand at the bat. But I just want to shout out Cody Bellinger real quick on the Tatis snag, one of the snags of the playoffs so far. Probably the snag of the playoffs.
Yeah, huge play. That's a series changer.
Yeah. And I don't know if that was actually the game prior, but I just had to give that one a little shout out. But yeah, we did really good on that Dodgers series price and the spread in the game overall. So cheers to us and cheers to everybody who rode with us on those bets.
And we'll have more baseball on Thursday. Obviously, I think the Rays already won today actually to go up 2-0 against the Yankees. So we got some championship series baseball, but let's go back to football. We talked about that Thursday night game, Bucs versus Bears, and the Rams versus Washington football team game. So we'll start with the Bucs and the Bears. Obviously, a really tight one. Some not controversy, but a very weird ending in which it seems like Tom Brady, a lot of people's goats, forgot what down it was and thought, the Bucs had one more down. They ended up losing that game by 1. So I think we both took the Bucs on that one. We didn't want to bet against Brady, and he hurt us. He hurt us on Thursday night.
Yeah, he did. And just watching that play and watching Tom's reaction, just kind of screaming at his team after, Tom's a competitor, but you're the greatest of all time. I think you should take a little bit of more responsibility. Not saying he didn't, but he's a hard guy on his teammates. And just watching that game, I could not help but think about Joe Montana earlier in the offseason when he left the 49ers after so much success there to go to Kansas City. His advice to Tom Brady was to stay with the Patriots. I mean, obviously, Bill and him behind the scenes.
Yeah.
Maybe there was something not happening there, but he basically alluded to how hard it is to kind of establish yourself in a new team, a new environment, especially for maybe only this 1 year. So I hope Brady figures it out. I mean, Nick Foles had a bad first
number.
They scored 2 touchdowns to go up in 1 minute and 47 seconds. If you're Tampa Bay, you cannot compete and let that happen. But there was Tampa Bay got killed penalties. I think there was a drive. They were 3rd and 30 or something like that. I mean, Bruce Arians got to get on his guys, got to get more discipline. What did you see in that game? What did you like about Chicago specifically?
obviously, that they're so talented defensively, and guys like Khalil Mack, and he was getting after. We saw Brady super animated on the sideline, yelling at, I think it was number 70, I can't remember his name, but yelling at one of his offensive linemen because he was getting almost no protection in that first half and for parts of the game. But the Bears, Nick Foles, he's going to keep you in those games. We know that he's a very solid quarterback. He's not one of these like wishy-washy backups. He's proving himself again and again. He's done it the last couple of years. Takes down Tom Brady once again. So a big win for the Bears. They go to 3-1 or 2-2.
No, they're 4-1 right now.
Oh, they're 4-1. Okay, yeah. So they're 3-1 before, but yeah. Bears, Chicago. Hey, good for them. They're looking good right now.
Yeah, Matt Nagy finally got
Matt
his
Nagy
figured it out.
So. Yeah. We'll move on to the other side of the country. Rams versus the Washington football team. This one took place in LA. We talked, or might have been Washington actually. We talked about this game, the over/under being 48, and I think you mentioned that it got dropped to 45 right before the game started.
Yeah.
And the Rams being a 7-point favorite. And we talked about how when they played the Giants the week before, another, not really a good team right now, especially with their injuries, how they kind of let them hang around. And we said that even if the Rams were going to play well, could Washington score the ball, new quarterback? And, that's exactly what happened. The Rams played really well, put up a 30 ball on the Washington football team, but, they're only able to muster 10. And so we hit on both of our bets on that game. That's always a good feeling. What did you see? I don't know, maybe from Jared Goff. Obviously, he's having a pretty solid year, and the Rams are looking good the last few weeks. What do you think about them?
Yeah, they are. I've never been a big Jared Goff guy, but he looks like he's getting his stroke back. He looks like, for a team that's just so strapped financially, it is good to see that defense coming together. Jalen Ramsey's obviously having a great year. Aaron Donald,
so good.
locking down offensive line as usual and destroying opposing quarterbacks. But I'm glad he didn't destroy Alex Smith this week. I was super glad to see him back. Didn't have a great game, but the fact that he was even back is like remarkable.
Crazy, yeah.
And it, just for that, I'm rooting for the Redskins if he's starting this year. But we'll see. What did you like? There were some interesting player props here. Like Cooper Kupp had a great game. There's a lot of good bets that went in that game. But,
I was gonna say, I'm glad you brought up Alex Smith because obviously, 2018, I believe, terrible leg injury, and unfortunately this weekend we saw another one of those with Dak Prescott been having such a, I don't know what the word is, but such a voluminous year almost in terms of the passing numbers he's putting up and, the attempts they're giving him. And that Cowboys team, gets a lot of hate. A lot of people don't like him or like the Cowboys, but, Dak's been playing behind, a disguise of an offensive line. And, you don't want to say like that's how it goes, but if you're going to let him continue to get hit, like something bad like that is going to happen. So now for the Cowboys, you signed Andy Dalton in the offseason as a backup, a guy that, has experience. He can do it a little bit. We'll see, for them, is it going to be, was Dak the problem? Was Dak the issue? Is Andy Dalton, kind of this new guy where we've seen with backup quarterbacks like Carson Wentz versus Nick Foles. Obviously, the Eagles ended up sticking with Wentz. But what do you think, maybe not the problem for the Cowboys, but what do you think is going to happen as Andy Dalton steps in? Obviously, Dak sidelined for the near future.
I feel like the Cowboys is a kind of a hard team to get excited about. They have – it seems the Cowboys on paper seem like a great team. And Dak obviously is a quarterback I've always thought was more like upper middle tier. I don't know if he garnered the $40 million a year, that talk that came out. But you hate to see this happen. And, Jerry Jones is a guy who's going to look out for himself. So, I don't know what the recovery rate on an ankle injury is. I know it's something like 6 to 8 months or something like that, or 3 to 6 months.
I think it was like a compound fracture and dislocation.
Yeah, to be honest, it didn't look like what Tony Romo called a cramp. It looked like his foot was pointing in the wrong direction. So I think it's a smart move signing Dalton as the backup. I think Jerry Jones kind of just did that as a I don't know if as a contract pusher to show that, like, hey, before obviously all this happened, that we have someone in place just in case. But I was, the Red Rifle, I can get behind that. I just don't. I think Dallas competes, but it's because their division's obviously so weak. I think they're competing against the Washington football team. I don't even know.
It might be like a 5-11 team from that division that makes the playoffs, which is
well at this rate, yeah. So it's like the Eagles might be better positioned to win right now, but also there's such a shaky team too. Who knows?
Yeah, that division, the NFC East, always seems to kind of be in shambles, at least the last few years. But I think that'll do it for us in this one. Carson, we touched on all our games. A lot of bets hit. I think we might have missed on one, being that Bucks Bears. That questionable lock does not hit. But we will be back on Thursday for questionable lock show number 5. We'll have more picks. We'll have baseball, more football. Obviously, no more basketball. So, we'll talk a little bit of college football. We'll mix it up. We'll throw some new stuff in there. It's been awesome. We want to wish Taylor a happy birthday again.
Happy birthday,
happy 22nd to Taylor. Tay Stahl, we love you. We know you're celebrating, having a good time. So we'll see you on Thursday. We'll see you guys on Thursday. And thanks for tuning in. Let's make some money on Thursday.
All right. Tune in.